Hello everyone. So today we will be learning about these topics: projectile motion device, projectile on head detection component, head trigger, local projectile, local filter node, ability unit. Okay, so first we'll see projectile motion device. So actually I have one projectile, local projectile I've created. This cryo one. So it has this projectile motion device component attached to it. So basically we can set the projectile motion for a particular projectile. So there are few options like linear projectile, or it will be a parabolic projectile, or it will be a tracking projectile, or the radial projectile. So linear projectile means if it will move in one direction, like you can see I have configured it as a linear velocity of 100 and the z direction. Okay, if I keep this as 100 and this as 0, then it will move up. Yeah, similarly if I kept this as 0, this as 100, then it will move on the right hand side. You can see the preview. So this is about the direction. Okay, and we can also provide the acceleration, how the projectile accelerate over the time. Okay, and the duration for the acceleration till which time it will accelerate. Okay, also we have option for the parabolic projectile. So parabolic projectile will follow the parabolic equation. Like you can see, we have these options: initial speed and the gravitational acceleration. What is the gravity it affects? So default value is 9.8. You can configure this thing. So say we have on the y-axis we have 10. So you can see this is the parabolic equation. So you can see this. If I click preview, it will move in that trajectory, parabolic trajectory. Okay, so you can configure these things and then make use of the any equation which you want to create. Okay, so say you want a steeper parabolic, then you need to reduce this z to a lesser value and y to a higher value. So it will be like this. Yeah, so this is for the parabolic. And we have also option for the tracking projectile. If you want to track a specific target, so that this projectile will track that target and hit it. Okay, so only difference, it will be same to the linear projectile. Only few options are extra, like tracking objects. So you need to provide an object with the object which we need to track with this projectile. So basically this could be useful for the missile auto lock missiles. In auto lock missiles we can use this functionality, and we need to also provide the attachment point to track. Rest all the states are same: initial speed and acceleration duration. Now this is the tracking angular velocity. Means suppose target is on the left, so how fast the projectile will turn towards the target. So this value will define that thing. And this is the tracking final phase, like how you want to track. Like you can either use a cancel tracking or the adsorption tracking. Okay, yeah, so this is all about the projectile. So let me show you one example. So let me add one more here. So this is a monster. Okay, and one more thing, this cryo projectile I am using in one skill. I have created, like here I have created one cryo skill. So in this cryo skill, in the animation, I will trigger a node event cryo skill. Okay, so if I show you, so here you can see this cryo skill. So basically what we will do, we will launch a projectile, we will pass this projectile ID, and then we will provide the location and rotation and the projectile fraction we provide. Okay, so then this projectile will be launched once we use that skill. Okay, so now if I show you the demo, so I have this E skill. So when we should use this skill, projectile will be created and then it will move on the basis of the projectile motion device what we have configured. Okay, so how to detect the hit? So for that we need to go to another concept, which is the on hit detection component. Okay, so for that if I show you here, for the cryo projectile we have this on hit detection component. So basically we need to provide these settings like trigger type. So whether you want to detect this trigger for single, it will be only able to detect a single trigger, or the non-repeating triggers, or the repeating triggers. Means single trigger will only trigger for a single entity, then it will not trigger. Okay, but for non-repeating triggers it can trigger for multiple entities. Okay, for the repeating trigger it will trigger for multiple entities multiple number of times. Okay, and then there's this detection delay time. So what should be the delay before detecting the collision, that we can provide. And enable continuous detection, we need to enable when our projectile is moving very fast, so we need to continuously detect the collision. So we need to specify the detection radius, like here I have specified 0.10. You can specify based on your projectile size. Okay, and then local filter, I will talk about it later. And this is the faction filter, means it will hit the hostile faction, means the monsters are the, so I have two factions. Let me show you here. One is player faction, another is this creation faction. Player faction is used for the players and creation is used for the enemies. Okay, and we have this faction relation also. So player faction and creation faction are hostile. Okay, so that's why I've kept this as hostile faction, and then it will only trigger on creations and it will hit the hurt box. Okay, so creation comes with the predefined hurt box, but if we are using custom objects, then we need to add a hurt box to the object in order to hurt that entity. Okay, okay, so this is about the, also we need to define the hit area, like what should be the hit area. So here I've used the same radius 0.10. Okay, now the hit trigger. Okay, so once again, so now hit trigger means once this hit has happened, what should we do? So at that time we will execute the ability unit. So first let me explain ability unit. Okay, this point. So if I go back here, we have these ability units. So basically what I'm doing, when my projectile will hit, I will do some damage as well as apply a unit status to the hit entity. So I will apply cryo status, okay, and then destroy the projectile after 0.20 seconds, okay. So for this attack we can select direct attack, hotbox attacks, or whatever you want to do. Suppose you want to show some VFX, you can use this, or you want to create another projectile after this is hit, that you can do. So, and destroy self I already explained, and recover HP you can use, okay. So here we need to damage enemies, so we will use direct attack. So we have this damage coefficient, and before to that let me show you first this parameter. So there's one battle parameter for the local projectile. So if this is inherited from creator, then the damage coefficient and damage increment will be based upon the creator, okay. So here the creator will be player, so it will be based on our player, okay, player or character, okay. So if you want to keep it independent, then you can use this independent, okay. Now if I go to the ability unit, so here you can specify the damage coefficient, damage increment, and element type, which element you need to do damage. Like here it is a cryo projectile, so I kept it as cryo damage, and this is the element attack potency, means how much time that element will remain on the hit entity, okay. And this is the hit type. So here we have multiple options, like there will be a slash, smash, projectile, or piercing attack. You can use these things, okay. Interrupt value this is needed when we want to use this impulse, vertical or horizontal impulse, and we need to configure this interrupt value so that it can override the, so this value should be greater than the creation interrupt value, then only will then this have impact, this horizontal and vertical impulse, okay. So here you can verify the variation curve. So mostly we will be using no changes, but you can do your custom variation curve, okay. And this is how much shield is break, shield pierce rate you can configure. Here you can configure the on hit performance, means what will be the effect shown when this projectile is hit. So here I am using the version. So here I have the head reaction, this launch. So you can also choose the custom and give these values horizontal. So here I have given this horizontal impulse and vertical impulse, okay. And also you can specify this knockback orientation. Like this will be very important thing, like basically how you want to, suppose some projectile you want to attract towards the initiator, so you can use this option, opposite orientation, last option, this one, then it will be opposite direction, okay, and this will be towards the attacked entity, okay. And if you don't want to show the damage pop-up, like when you hit with the projectile will show some pop-up like how much damage it does. If you don't want to show that damage, then you can enable this mute, okay. So this is about the ability unit. So this we will add once this on hit trigger settings. In here we will add those ability units which need to be executed, okay. So hit trigger is done, ability unit is done, local projectile is done. Now the local filter node, I will explain you where it will be used. So say one example I will show you. Basically I've created this gravity field, Okay, so what it does, it will attract, and it will be used in animo ability. Once we use that ability, it will pull the characters towards the center. So here I will show you. I have used this local filter. So we have two types of filter: boolean filter and integer filter. Boolean filter will work on the boolean values, and integer filter will work on the integer values. So let me show you this. I've used this enemy filter. Okay, I will show you how I created that. So if we see here, boolean filter I've created, enemy filter. So what it does, it checks whether the target entity fraction, if it's 1, then opposite of 1. If it's not 1, then it is a creation, then we will attract those objects. Okay, so if this evaluates to true, then this on hit is successful and this hit trigger settings will be applied. But if it returns false, then that logic will not be executed. Okay, so if I show you one example, if I go here, player 1, if I change this to animal class, so I have chosen animal class. Now you can see I'm able to look at this structure. Okay, this is because of the tornado effect. But if I show you the gravity effect, then one second. I will add some virtual with a lesser interrupt value. So let me keep this virtual layer, and then this here, the creation action. Yeah. That enemy is attracted towards the center. If I show you again without hitting the tornado, let me show you again. Yeah, as you can see, right? It hits the center. Yeah, like this. So this is happening because of that boolean filter, because it is only applicable to the creation. But if I remove that filter, then even I will be attracted. Okay, the character. So if I show you that thing, once again, it was gravity. So here I will remove that filter. Okay, I will remove this node graph, save. right? So that's why we need to provide that boolean filter there, so that it only applies on the creation, not the player itself. Okay, so I think this is all about the projectile and the shooting gameplay mechanisms. Okay, so yeah, thank you.